Councilmember Kupa.
Here.
Councilmember Laporte.
Here.
Councilmember Paul.
Here.
Councilmember Volt.
Here.
Councilmember Watt.
Here.
All present.
Thank you. Go to number 4, consent agenda. A, City Council minutes of May 20th, 2024, regular meeting recommendation approved, and the Housing Commission resignation accept with regrets.
Motion to approve A and B is presented.
Supported.
Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We have nothing under ordinances and resolution. Let's go to number 6. Mr. Bishop, do you have anything tonight?
Thank you, Mayor. I do have a few updates and announcements for the council and the public to consider. I would like to first start out by congratulating our water treatment operator, Jay Silvers. He studied incredibly hard. He passed his F2 state test. It's a very difficult test to pass. There's only one other higher, which is F1, to take that type of test while you're working. And I know he's a family man, and to balance all those things, it's very impressive. And so now with our water treatment plant, we have 2 F2 operators, which is if you look around the state, it's a rarity. So congratulations to Jay Silvers and the work that he put in. I want to give you an update on the budget meetings. We will be beginning and having budget department head meetings throughout this month. We'll be meeting down individually. We begin one actually this week. We'll sit down, we'll go over each department line by line. We'll work in tandem with our finance director, Lynette Obie, and we'll be talking about what was needed, what's not needed, but also taking into consideration all of the commissions. If through your commissions that you sit on have any specific budget requests, especially capital, these are capital projects, if you could shoot me an email or let me know or let a representative communicate with me, because we want to make sure we don't miss anything in the capital improvement plan as we build it in relations to our capital improvement plan. In that same vein, I want to talk a little bit about the harbor. This year, dock number 1, that's the closest to the boat launch, the top boards are going to be replaced. Excuse me. June 7th, the dumpster showing up. Saturday, June 8th and 9th is when, and I think this is a good thing. The students from the Technical Education Center, they're construction 1 and 2 students, along with Ken Siegert. He's the construction trades instructor. He's going to be on site, and the students and he will be doing that work for us. So this will be part of their capstone project, and if it works well, if the quality of work's good, if they work well in that type of environment, and it's going to be tricky too, right? You have water on either side of you as you're replacing boards. You have boats, we have assets, people's personal property. We have a plan on how to move those boats out of the way, but if they do a nice job, this is something, a long-term deal that we'll make with the Tech Center students, and we'll replace 1, 2, 3, 4 as we go down. Okay.
I would assume through RISA, or it's through RISA, right? Yeah, that they have some kind of insurance that follows
Covers
these
everything.
people around. Yeah.
Yep, it covers all of them. I double checked and triple checked. Viewer Lumber supplying the lumber, which is going to be delivered any day now, and then we're going to start putting on those top boards with those students, which I think is a great training program, an introduction for them to give back to the city and for us to give back to them that opportunity.
Are we compensating them for that? Or are they doing it as part of their?
No, they like to eat. We're paying them in pizza. We're paying them, and there will be a stipend. I think when it's all said and done, it's basically a T&M job, and
Awesome.
so the total bill with pizza included is going to be about $1,000. Okay, it's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. Okay, quick update on the middle school. I know the last time that we had a meeting, we had talked about mowing the lawn. That following week, myself, Bob Beath, and also Brenner Electric visited the site. We met with their maintenance individual, and I spoke with their property manager on the phone 4 times. And each one was progressively getting better about our expectations about not only keeping the lawn to a reasonable standard, but also weed whacking around the entire building, around the fence, around the pool, and really cleaning it up. That was acknowledged, and they were getting to work on that. The reason why Brenner Electric was with us on that visit is because we are disconnecting main power to the middle school. When the building was submerged in water, their entire circuit breaker was submerged, therefore it is unsafe. And so what will be brought in is from the pole. They'll have temporary power brought in directly from the pole, and that is only to maintain the sump pumps within the building. If we do have another weather event and there's water in the building, the sump pumps would be active and be able to get the water out of the building. The pool itself is on a separate power line, and so it does not interfere with the pool operations. But as of now, the power will be coming shut off at the middle school.
Who's paying for that work to be done?
They will be.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yes, and I clarified that with the property manager. He asked if there was going to be some sort of bill. Electricity, absolutely, there will be a bill for the electrician. Anything that we need to do above and beyond that, it is your building. We just need to enforce the safety. And whatever bill is generated will be forwarded on to the property owner, and that will be his bill to pay. Okay. I want to talk a little bit about the bike path. Today at 1 o'clock, we had Body Construction come to the City Hall. We wanted to get an update on where they were. They were on the job and then they left. And so we have an updated schedule. So beginning on June 17th, right now, I should say, Body Construction is working on 26 Mile Road, finishing up the Bethune Road project. When they finish on 26 Mile Road, they're returning back to St. Clair on June 17th, and they scheduled about 3 weeks worth of work. During those 3 weeks, you'll be seeing the rest from 4th Street to M29. That rest of that section is scheduled to be brought back up, gravel placed back down. Then there'll be a slight pause as they get ready to lay a base coat. So they're going to order in the asphalt, and the base coat's going to be coming in. Simultaneously, they're going to be moving back down Clinton Avenue and working on all the punch lists. So driveways, approaches, asphalt, concrete, steepness of the driveways, that'll all be taken care of. Then, at about week 4, they're bringing in a subcontracted concrete crew. They are going to be working on the retaining wall. What you'll be seeing there is you'll be seeing the curb cuts. You'll be seeing some of the wall modifications. You'll be seeing a wall correction and some wall removal. That's going to all be happening within the last week or so of June. And then after the month of July, mid-July, they should have all punch list items completed, and the restoration company at that point will be laying down the final seed, watering, that type of thing. Yes,
So,
John?
3 or 4 weeks, starting on the 17th, they're going to start from 4th Street down to M29.
That is their plan.
Then work back and do the punch list. I thought we talked about getting what they have done correctly first before they moved on. I thought we talked about that.
The issue there is the concrete contractors, to be able to get them on schedule and bring them back in.
How is that our issue, though?
It's not, it's all a timing issue. So the timing to actually get the crew in to do the work is what's holding up to getting the wall done. And so in that same time, we can have them back, they could work on the 4th to 29th.
Aren't you concerned about moving forward before they fixed what they've done so far? Are you concerned about that?
I'm concerned that it's taking longer than I ever anticipated it taking. I'm more concerned that if we pause the project any longer, we're gonna end up in the fall and late winter. Asphalt plants are gonna close down, and we're gonna be back into the spring. So my biggest concern is making sure that they get this project done.
But if what they have done so far, if they do it right, and we get to that point where we can't go from 4th Street down to M29 because of the weather, because of the season, and we delay it to the spring, is that a bad thing if they do the other part right first?
I agree with the logic. I totally agree with the logic. It's simply getting the contractors for the concrete wall prepared, and they're not even going to be prepared for another 6 weeks. So it would be in end of July, almost August, before they completed that work. To complete that work on the wall is a minimum of 3 weeks. So we would absolutely be at the end of August and September before they finished, and then they would, if they were to start then, we'd be 30 days out from when the asphalt plant shut down.
But when they vacated the job site, you didn't know, I mean, they just vacated, right? They didn't tell you ahead of time, hey, we're going to be vacating the job site in the spring.
And no, that's why we're having progress meetings now on a weekly basis, so I can keep track of all their schedules.
I'm concerned about that, I really am.
Yeah, and Councilman Watt has expressed this in via email as well, and to say, the biggest concern is 4th to 29th, is what would happen if we weren't to even pursue 4th to 29th, everything else was done. I did confirm that if the project wasn't done to spec, then the total cost of the project would fall back on the city, and we would not be eligible for that rest of it. So, I mean, I'm just saying that's
I
where
have
we
no
sit.
problem moving forward, I just wanted it done right, the first time.
Amen.
When you got the note about the 1,600,
1,600, yep, landscaping and restoration, that's gonna be falling into the restoration category, and they'll be, and I told Body today, I said, you know what, you have people taking it upon themselves at this point. I mean, they're putting mulch in and planting flowers in the easement, because this is taking too long. We need commitments on dates, and we need to be held accountable for those dates. He understood, he accepted it, and he's at the mercy of a contractor. I said, we'd really like you to take a more of aggressive approach with your contractors, letting us know that we missed a season last year, and we have no anticipation of moving and missing another season.
Has there been any more ongoing conversation about the congestion that's being created at Third and Clinton? The line of sight, like as we add, we move through several years of projects and they've all been great, but every time you add something, something else changes. Lessons learned. And being able to sit at Third Street with the amount of traffic now going down Third because of the businesses and everything that's up and down Third Street, trying to turn east off of Third. And we have those parking spaces and trees, and it's difficult, right? Now we're adding a high-volume bike path and walkers and pedestrians, and there's no control. Trying to turn left it's getting really bad
tricky,
right there,
yeah.
tricky. So I don't know if there's any questions on softening the 2 spots down to 1, backing it up, looking at something to try and open that corner just a little bit.
I addressed that with our civil engineer group. I said, that's a tricky corner, and I tested it. So I know exactly what you're talking about. I drove up to it, and quite honestly, you got to eke out there quite a bit to get around there because there was a taller vehicle that was parked right in front of the bank. And so I'm eking out. Fortunately, I could get out and go. But yeah, it's very tricky. So after I made that test drive, I called the civil engineer and said, where the plans stand today on those parking spots. And right now, they're remaining in the plans.
Sure.
And so the next conversation is, look at the line of sight, look what's going on here. Excuse me, Phil.
That's the corner 9th and Clinton, look at the railroad, look at the track section.
So with that being said, it's right now with AEW, and as it sets right now, the spots remain. So
Sure.
there's going to have to be some engineering, and there's going to have to be some rewritten of the plans.
Yep, I know it won't affect the bike path at all, but if we do have to change that curbing for any of the spots, it'll tear up that area a little bit. So
I know.
if there was any planned conversation of getting that done at the same time so we don't re-tear up something that we've done.
Okay. Yep, I'll have that follow-up. I will.
Okay,
I'll have that follow-up.
Yep, thank you.
Phil, I see the picture. So this, I see a tire track running through that gravel. And so,
That was a truck tire track.
yep. So I had been suspicious of that particular corner. And so what I did was I had a couple phone calls from the community. There was a tree at like 9th and Witherell in and around that area. And so what I did was I parked and I hung out and I wanted to see what he was talking about with big trucks. I was waiting for a big truck to come down. And I heard a big bang, boom, bang, right? And I turned around and somebody had cut that corner kind of tight and they'd come right up into that inlet. Now, it's not perfect, but was this picture taken before or after new gravel was laid down?
Just took it
Okay.
within the last 2 weeks.
So that's actually, unfortunately, that's actually better than what it was because it was a complete 3-4 inch dig out and there had been gravel laid down in there.
It used to be worse, yes.
It used to be worse. And so,
This is a recent one.
so I can see that because you had mentioned this before at another meeting and we're listening, we're paying attention. And when you said that, we drove it and we looked at it and we laid and installed gravel. Now, with the settling and a heavy truck, sure, it's not rated. I'm not sure what kind of truck rolled over it, but if it was anything substantial, sure, that aggregate's not going to hold and you're going to get that action. So, what we can do, I think we have some 1 inch. I don't think we have any 3 inch to really lock things up, but I think we have 1/2 inch. And I think we have some 1 inch left over. I'm looking at Kevin, but I don't want to put him on the spot. But if we do have it in the yard, if we have some 1 inch and whatnot, we can lay it down. But just for what it's worth, the last time you came to the podium and you addressed this issue, DPW was on it. They went down there, they laid it in. Yes, it settled, and yes, it came over. And we're just seeing that it didn't take. It didn't take because whatever came over, that was heavy, right? So just like anything else, appreciate the evidence of saying, hey, that's not enough. We'll see what we have in the yard, and we'll go ahead and we'll make the right adjustments.
That corner is designed tight for making a lot of turns off of there. If you want to head west off of 9th Street, you almost have to go out into the other lane, depending on how close you are in the middle of the road.
Yeah, so it's gonna be tricky. No matter what, no matter where that curb's gonna be, is gonna be tricky. And the reason is the stop bar is behind the sidewalk. So technically, you have to stop behind the sidewalk, which is a good distance from the edge of the road. So you could stop there, and you're still gonna have to roll forward and take that right-hand turn, regardless, that's there or not. You see what I'm saying? So regardless, so that stop bar keeps it 15, 20 feet behind the road. You're gonna have to roll up onto the road regardless. It's just tight when you grab the curb and they're making that tight westbound turn.
Now, there may be a stop bar there, that's fine. However, people keep creeping up towards
I understand.
Clinton so they can see up or down, especially down.
Yep.
They don't want to have somebody come hit them.
Mr. Lubman, I'm breaking all kinds of rules here. I should probably just I'll continue with my report, and I'm happy to address it during the public comment time. And I will. I want to be good stewards of the agenda, okay?
I apologize for breaking into your comment, but I wanted you to see that.
I know, I could tell. Okay. Let's talk about Goff Street. Goff Street, there was multiple residents who came back and they'd said, hey, we have standing water in Goff Street. And so I know one of our councilmen drove as far as he could up that narrow lane at the cemetery. I know DPW's went back there. I myself took a different route and drove to the back, and I walked it. I walked it from all the way from where the one manhole cover is all the way down to Clutcha Park. And it's in a valley. It's in a valley, right? You're catching it, everything coming off the cemetery. The houses are built higher on Goff Street than it is their backyard. So there's really, and we even looked at is there a beehive drain we can install? Is there a drain that we can get water diverted and just get it off the property? There's nothing there. There's no stormwater drain for it to drain into. And so I had DPW supervisor go back to the residents because he has some ideas with contractors that maybe they can install their own 4-inch drain or a 6-inch tile drain in the back, run it up, trench it out, try to get it back up to Goff Street. The issue is, and we're not going to do that for individual homes, every single person who calls to come and do their work and engineering for them, but going above and beyond and saying, we recognize the issue. We can't terrace that ground any steeper. It's a valley. You're in a tough spot. How do we get the drain installed? And these are who you call. These are the contractors that can come do that work for you and try to get a little bit of water off it. We had the same exact issue in the Highlands. Mr. Hersig called, this was maybe a year ago. Can you come out, take a look at this? So I did. We stomped back through his backyard. We found the drain when they were putting in the new apartments, and the drain was covered. Came back, they said, hey, listen, we got the whole yard drained off because as soon as they corrected the drain tile issue in the yard, the drain worked properly, and then the drain, and then the water drained from it. So we're recommending that type of effort by the homeowners. So the homeowners on Goff Street, it was left with Miss Nancy. She was here. That was 1364 that she lives at, and the neighbor was at 1360. And so together they're going to collaborate and see if they can get their neighbors together and maybe do a project, collaboratively. Okay, but I wanted to address that because there was enough momentum from the residents to say, hey, we have an issue back here. We're wet back here. Okay. Last thing I'll make a comment on is labor negotiations. I had a great meeting today with Attorney Downing and Attorney Fantuzzi. So we'll be reaching out to the Ask Me bargaining unit, and we're going to start having conversations about setting a timeline to actually open up the contract and get the negotiations going. What I'm going to do the rest of this week is I'm going to be scrubbing the contract itself, looking for areas of improvement and making those recommendations, and I owe that document back to Mr. Fantuzzi by Friday. By the next council meeting, June 17th, we anticipate having Mr. Fantuzzi here to talk with the board, and I would like to consider that one of our, I don't want to call it a workshop because that's more of a, it's going to be, I'm going to request it in closed session because it's related to labor, but he will give us a full rundown of the schedule of events and how he'd like to proceed. In the meantime, Miss Terry Campbell from the Ask Me, the business agent, she'll be contacted, and we'll be coordinating timelines so we can work through this. It's a 5-year contract that they're finishing up. It expires September 30th, and so if we get started now and have thoughtful discussions from here on out, we should be able to hit that deadline. Okay? That's all I have for this evening, if you have any questions. None? Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Bishop.
You're welcome.
Mr. Downey, you have anything?
Nothing this evening, Your Honor.
All right, any questions from Mr. Downey? Any city departments tonight?
do that. You'll need to be online.
Siri doesn't count.
I don't mean, do not disturb on. Any authorities, boards, or commissions? The heck?
2 vacancies to announce. Planning Commission and Housing Commission are accepting applications.
Thank you.
Oh, can I add one more thing?
Absolutely.
If there's anybody in the community right now that knows anybody that would like to work as a bridge tender, there's a position available. It is a seasonal position and is a part-time position. If you'd like, we are accepting applications, and we would like to get somebody at the bridge that would like to stay at the bridge and work there for a while. That'd be great. We also have online right now an open water treatment operator position that's been posted and we're trying to fill. And so if any, candidates that would like to, put their name in the hat, we welcome them. Sometimes they read the job description, they see certification. I just want to make a clarification that any water treatment operator that works for us without a certification does have 18 months to complete that certification. And if they're anything like the DPW crew, these guys study with each other, they whiteboard it with each other, they help each other out, they walk each other all the way through the test, so they'll be ready within those 18 months. And so if there's anybody that you know or you think would be a good fit to work for the city of St. Clair at the water treatment plant, please encourage them to apply. We'd like to fill those positions. Thank you.
Good, thank you. Okay, we have no one person. We'll go to new business, number 8. A, Parks and Recs Commission, 2024 local millage distribution of funds.
I gotta catch up. Sorry. Where is it? Did I jump it?
Here.
Yeah, we got you. Thank you. Sorry for the delay on that. This is a yearly distribution, so the county has a park millage, and then what happens is, based on our population, a proportion of that total county millage is then redirected back to the city. There was an increase from last year, and so if you follow along, if you turn the page, St. Clair County as a whole, the population in 2020 was 160,000, just north of it. The city of St. Clair is 5,464. Of that, 25% of the total millage captured is what we're allocated toward based on our population. And so that this year, the distribution from the county park millage will be $31,452. We have submitted to the St. Clair County Park and Recreation Committee our request for local millage distribution. This evening, we're asking to accept that, so we may receive those funds.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Support. Questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, let's go to B, special event, Hope Floats Poker Paddle. Annette?
Yes, Your Honor. Before you today are 2 special events recommended by Chief Raker for approval. The first is on Saturday, July 20th, Hope Floats Poker Paddle. It's an annual event. I believe this is the 11th year. It is on the Pine River, and they also utilize the St. Clair Boat Harbor Pavilion for their festivities. It is recommended to approve the special event permit as all necessary documents are in compliance with the ordinance.
Motion to approve.
Ordered.
Questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank
All right.
you.
We'll go to C is the special event for the Blue Water Offshore Racing Association's 30th Annual St. Clair River Classic.
Yes, 30th annual, so that's pretty exciting on its own. So along with the special event permit application is a lease of the property of Palmer Park and a couple other areas. There have been no changes to last year's lease, other than the year, of course. You also have in your documents a letter requesting use of the golf course property, which has support of the Golf Commission. The races will take place July 26th through the 28th. And again, Chief Raker has reviewed all the documents. Everything is in compliance, so approval is recommended.
Motion to approve. Support.
The motion may support. Do you need a special or a separate vote for the lease, or
Yes, please, with a roll call for the lease of the property.
including this?
No, this can just be a all in favor.
All right, all in favor of the part 1 of C, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Yes, sir. Yep.
Can I ask a question? I thought
thought we asked a question before we voted. Bill Cleveland, 1374 South Riverside. Does this include the closure of M29? When will M29 reopen?
Yes, it does include the closure of M29, and it is requested to be closed Wednesday at 5 PM through noon that following Monday.
So it'll be open noon on Monday?
That is what the request is for, per the detour, yes.
All right, and then also in the lease, there's a certain period of time that the people can use the boardwalk. What are them times?
Yes, that is in the lease, and I can tell you that.
I'm looking too.
Yeah, if anyone finds it quicker, let me know.
6 a.m. to 8 a.m., each day covered in this lease.
You found it, yes.
Which page?
It's item 12.
Number 12. Thank you. The public shall have access to the boardwalk between the hours of 6 a.m. and 8 a.m. each day covered by this lease.
All right, we'll need a separate motion to approve the lease.
So moved.
Questions? Call the roll, please.
Folds?
Yes.
Watt?
Yes.
Gottler?
Yes.
Kufa?
Yes.
Laporte?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Cedar?
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
And then the last item with this special event is an extension of vendor hours. According to our current ordinance, the vendor hours are 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., and during special events, council may extend those hours upon consideration. So it is recommended to extend the hours to 9 p.m. that Friday and Saturday.
So moved. Is it 11 p.m.? Is that correct?
Oh, extend it from 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Yes.
Right.
Sorry.
So moved. Support?
Questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Go to number 9, claims of the council, May 22 and 29, 2024.
Hearing no questions, Your Honor, I make a motion to approve as presented.
Support?
Questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we'll go to number 10, public questions, public comments. Anybody have any non-agenda items they want to talk about for around 3 minutes, if you would, please?
Hello, my name's Julian Ruck. I actually live in Port Huron, and I'm here for a little visit to talk about urban gardening. I don't know if any of you caught wind recently of the things that have been going on in Port Huron with urban gardening, but for the past 4 years, I've been growing and giving away more food than anyone else in Port Huron pretty aggressively with ending food insecurity as soon as possible kind of mantra. And it has been a knockdown, slam fight between me and the city of Port Huron up until very recently. I've sued the city, there was name calling, all kinds of things have happened. And now the resolution is that I've signed a 10-year lease with the city for city-owned property on the south side to actually grow in cooperation with the city a large-scale free food, forest, and garden. Now, if you were to reach out to the mayor, city manager, all the city council members and ask them, do you think it was 4 years of drama was necessary before getting to this point? They would all tell you, absolutely not. And I would agree. So I'm here tonight. You have alternate Mondays to Port Huron as far as city council meetings. So I'm here tonight to bring up the subject of urban gardening in a polite way. And I've seen in your community some pollinator strips where people keep their flowers going and their backyard gardens going. But beyond urban gardening is urban agriculture, where maybe someone's got lettuce in their backyard they regularly harvest and sell at your farmer's market. And so they're maybe trying to generate $1,000, $2,000 worth of revenue off their backyard every month during the growing season. So that's urban agriculture. And then you got permaculture, which is fruit trees, edible food parks, things that take very little maintenance, but kind of take a lot of forethought to install and plan, but give you greater yield for less labor over time. So permaculture is the goal. but kind of moving with thoughtfulness to that point is another goal. Just for some quick numbers, the city in the U.S. that has the most urban gardens, free food gardens per capita is Spokane, Washington, and they have 4.8 gardens per 1,000 residents. So that would be the equivalent, my guess is about 25 or 30 gardens here in St. Clair, to be right at the very top of per capita, free food access gardens. So, I mean, there's a lot of distance between here and there, but, I hope as we do in Port Huron, I'll be reaching out to Mr. Bishop here with a follow-up email after tonight. Hopefully we can have an open dialogue where, everybody in St. Clair County can kind of lift each other up and work together in these ways. So, that's it.
Thank you, Julian.
Yeah,
Hey,
thank you.
Julian, 1 second. So with the urban gardening, at the end of the day, are these products like certified organic or GMO? Like, do we put their normal? Do we go to Lowe's and buy fertilizer, or is there something about urban gardening that's more specialized?
I actually, I'm really glad you asked. I actually, at one point in this journey, worked for Emterra over the winter on the back of trucks just to see what people were throwing away. Like, I literally went to them and I was like, I want to see what people are throwing away and can it be repurposed and where are we at? Yeah. And about between 30 and 40% of what people are throwing away at the curbside, their leaves, their grass clippings, food scraps, could be, here in Michigan with our soil and our fresh water and our climate, could be folded into their backyard as a natural fertilizer. So
create compost?
Yeah, exactly.
Compost,
so organic, you might just say holistic, you know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, there's just so much potential. The number 2 landowners in the state of Michigan are Canada and the Netherlands. And that's because they're a little bit colder than here. Mm-hmm. And they look at Michigan and go, oh, that's some very nice agriculture land you got there. Mm-hmm. And they scooped it up before we got to it. Yeah. So we have really good, we don't have to irrigate here. Our water table's right there. That's a huge advantage. So there's lots of open space, for everyone's advantage.
Have you had an opportunity to take a look at like a plat, right? You look at a city block, and have you guys figured out the math yet? Like based on like a quarter of an acre, an eighth of an acre, so many square feet, because somebody's gonna say like, oh yeah, cool, like I'm into that. I want to check that out.
Yeah.
But then like, how much space do you need for actually something to be sustainable and like, yeah, I'm urban gardening, not just gardening, but you know what I mean? I'm into it. Like,
the best thing, as boring as it is fruit trees, because the yield you get over decades when it comes to fruit trees for the cost of plop it in the ground and move on with your life. But again, you want something that people engage with. Mm-hmm. So the space on the south end of Port Huron, I'm actually turning into a bit of a theme park where it's like educational and people walk around and get a self-guided tour. So it's kind of like to whatever degree people are able, because some people maybe all they have the mobility and investment time for is a fruit tree, But
where is it on the south side?
Off Nern, at the end of 27th, there's a dead end right there, and it's right at that dead end. It's going to take me a little bit of time to really get it established. We're basically moving a garden I've had for a number of years on Lapeer, scooping up all that soil and moving it to the south end. But mostly we've initiated the conversation. We're now not the only ones gardening in town. It's now by the newspaper and everybody, they've gone, okay, I guess this is part of our identity now. Mm-hmm. So,
did you see with the city of Port Huron, not a play-by-play the last 4 years, but like in general, did you see that there were more issues with the ordinances and the zoning as is written into called agriculture that was your stumbling block, or was it a mix of different things?
It's kind of unwilling to learn. Like, I got cited for weeds when it was kale, and I had to go to the blight department and be like, this is kale.
Yep. Yep.
I mean, they're just the unwillingness. I have found in general, 1 out of 10 people love it. They want to learn everything about it. They want the details. They're nerds about it. They're really curious. And most people are thumbs up who doesn't want fresh produce in their neighborhood. About 1 out of 20 people hate it. It's too much change for them. They don't like it. They grew up on farms, and farms suck, and they moved away from farms, and they don't want to be next to farms. And, what are you going to do?
Yeah. Was there anything on the books though, Julian, about like specific ordinances, like within the city that you had to go to bat with and get ordinances changed? Because we have a code enforcement officer who may drive by and go, that looks like something. Oh, it's kale.
Yeah.
Versus like,
Our
whoa,
first
you
blight
can't have you can't have a farm.
Our journey started with the first blight inspector handing me paperwork from inside his car saying you can't garden in the city and driving off. No conversation. And it was just, and so I had to fight for the very right from the very beginning with some people. But then I'd find, this public official was, sympathetic, and then I'd have to kind of work my way through it all. And even right now, I can tell everybody in this room seems to be more intrigued than, an opponent to the idea. So, there's just a much better path forward when speaking practically about, how to integrate really the learning into the community. I will say I grew up in St. Clair County for 20 years, and then I lived around the country for 20 years, most of which in Northern California, where a lot of the food we all eat comes from. So agriculture with a 9-month year-round growing season there is something I was like immersed in. So when I come back here, right about when COVID hit, it was like, hey, there's a lot of untapped opportunity for a community that, could, see some advantages from it, so.
Right, he's gonna get hold of you.
Cool. Thanks, Julian. Yeah, we'll be in touch.
Yep.
Thanks.
Okay, anybody else?
Phil Lundman, corner 9th in Clinton. It's 902 Clinton. I had a list of things to discuss, but Mr. Bishop seemed to cover them all. I want to personally come up and thank you for that. And reason for that is because there's a lot of people out there that watch this at home and don't come to the meeting. I wish they would, but they don't come to the meeting. So by you speaking, it took care of a lot of my items that I was going to ask you here. Do you know when Mr. Kern is going to show up at the next meeting?
Yes, he actually has a schedule to be on site. Oh, he told me it's next week, but he's going to be on site with the contractors to do a walkthrough.
I'll try and watch for him.
Yep.
I just want to cover my last statement on here because I support what the other gentleman over there said earlier. My last comment was, and last but not least, I strongly recommend you finish 100% of what you had left unfinished in front of our homes before you even consider further construction from Riverside Bar to M29. And the reason for that, I like to see it be put in people's public opinion, so to speak, when they hopefully when they do the job and do it right and get it done, maybe people have a better taste in their mouth for what's going on. I don't like the thought of tearing up that section down there that you put in because you paid dearly for that. But the bottom line is, if you're going to do it, you're going to do it. But please give that some thought. I support what he said earlier. Finish what you started first, and maybe people will be more supportive of what's going on. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? All right, we'll go to number 11, Mayor and Council. Like a couple of things. It's June 8th is River Day. Free fishing, free kayaks at the Boat Harbor. City pool opens June 15th. Shout out to Tim Raker's granddaughter, Janae Hudson. She won the state championship in the discus at Marysville this past Saturday. Tim Raker's granddaughter.
Second place in shot.
Anybody else have anything?
I was just wondering, the motorbikes that we have, they're electric bikes that will go 25 to 35 miles an hour. Can they go on the sidewalk? Are they allowed to? Or they have to stay on the road?
I think it's considered a slow-moving vehicle. If they have pedals, it's considered a bicycle, and if you can ride a bicycle on the sidewalk.
They never pedal.
I know. They're technically pedal assist, and so. But if at speed, like a slow-moving vehicle, like a golf cart, if they're equipped with turn signals, brake lights, I do believe that they're allowable. But in terms of like you know, like a 4-foot sidewalk and somebody barreling down 25 miles an hour, that's not good. That's not good.
I'm just wondering if it's legal or whatever, because it's happening.
Yeah, it's the technicality, like I wish, we don't have anything on the book, and maybe we need to address it, but.
I can investigate that.
Yeah, thanks, Don.
I'll have something for the next meeting.
Yeah, thank
Going
you.
down the boardwalk really fast, too.
It's crazy.
Anybody
Yeah,
else?
they're getting cheaper.
Yes, St. Clair varsity girls softball, 2024, won districts this last weekend.
Awesome.
Marysville, quite an accomplishment, quite a week for them. They were an underdog, and they came by and won a couple games to get there. So it's very impressive what they did this year.
Thank you.
I think they'll be playing Saturday.
Yeah, I believe it's Saturday.
Against Country Day, isn't it?
It's at Country Day, but it's a fairly local game. I think it's either in Richmond or
Richmond.
Marysville.
Yeah, it's going to be in Richmond against Detroit Country Day for the semi.
It'll be the
regional.
semifinal, and if they win that game, I think they'll go again for the regional final.
Yep.
Right, same day?
Yeah,
Oh, cool, okay. Yeah,
doubleheader, hopefully.
exciting.
Yeah, on that same token, you reminded me, St. Clair High School girls soccer also won the district championship. And they have their semifinals or whatever the next thing is on Wednesday. We've got a lot of champions in the house.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Thank
That is
you.
good.
When that one safety town mentioned about the, you have the list, one safety town.
Safety
That's coming
Town
up,
is
isn't it?
June 22nd.
But that's coming up, because you mentioned the other officials, and I thought safety town's coming up too. Okay.
Anybody else have anything?
Hearing nothing else, Your Honor, I make a motion to adjourn.
Support.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Have a good night, everybody. Thank you. Careful out there.